Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? It's Cat Max. Okay, I'll stop singing. It's Catus Maximus here. I probably won't be having a singing career, but I am doing a quick review of Harbor Freight's dirt cheap $9 Bowie knife. And I'll get a little better to paying attention to the prices. A lot of the stuff is so cheap that, you just figure it's worth a shot. That's kind of the part of the thing about at least Harbor Freight's more staple and older items. This has been on the shelf for, I think, at least 5 years. Super dirt cheap, although they advertise a stainless steel blade. Have no idea what grade of the stainless steel it is. There's actually a surprising number of YouTube videos on it. Some of them are a half hour long, and I couldn't even spend a half hour talking about this item. Part number, what is it, 90714. So this is kind of catches your eye on the shelf. You think just for a utility camping knife, maybe cutting kindling. It has a saw blade on the backside where it's just alternating bevels ground into the top. It's pretty sharp. I'm sure the stainless steel, to make any knife blade, they couldn't use like 304 or marine grade 316 because it just would be way too soft. So they found some kind of cheap but hardenable stainless steel for the blade. It has a, not a very good edge on it. It's a real kind of, triangular shaped, a real strong edge, but not particularly sharp out of the box. I'll have to mention that this is a revised one. There's the earlier ones, they had even more issues than these do have. The primary issues with these knives, and why I'd say for $9 for a big old Bowie, you kind of get what you expect, but they can't be used for heavy-duty use. Using it as chopping and heavy, bushcraft, that kind of stuff, it won't work because it has a very short tang. This is a cast piece of aluminum. Earlier ones, this handle is actually threaded onto the hilt here, which is where the tang goes in. And those had a lot of issues. If we look real close, this is a second generation. It's actually one piece. This is cast aluminum, and they machine the handle on it. And then it has a threaded end cap with a little O-ring in there. Although it's real questionable. I wouldn't say that this is waterproof, and it's kind of weird that they include the O-ring because there's a set screw, so it has a real short tang. It's only about this long. And on this revised one, they've cut this slot a little bit tighter so that the blade doesn't want to wobble as loose. There's a ton of videos about the blades falling out of these things. And then there's a cross hole drilled into the tang of the blade, and they use a set screw to additionally secure it. But the big issue with these Bowie knives with the hollow handles is that all the load and all the pressure is always focused right up here. And when you have like an aluminum handle here, it just only takes just a few strong blows for something like steel to just pound out the aluminum, and that's the real disadvantage to these. So even though it's $9, even a $9 knife that you chop on a few pieces of wood with and the blade flies out is not worth it. If you are aware of that aspect, then and you're a little bit more careful with it, then it would be okay for normal digging and maybe making kindling, that kind of thing. But it's pretty obvious this is not a heavy-duty knife by any means. But for general camping uses, it could certainly be useful. And being $9, you don't feel so bad about it if it gets lost or if you're using it to pry or do other kind of activities. Using it for cooking and the blade gets all dinged and blemished, you don't feel bad about it because it was less than $10. And that's generally how I kind of recommend this. It's kind of a junky, large knife that indeed does have a blade that won't rust and aluminum handle that won't rust, although that is a steel set screw. So eventually its rust will get onto the other parts. And just being aware that heavy rocking action will eventually get the blade to loosen up. This is not the kind of blade where you want to buy it and pull it out of the handle and make a new handle for it, because once again it has a very short tang, so it's going to be extremely difficult to anchor that in a real secure fashion. The amount of time and effort you spend on that just totally isn't worth it. They call it survival because it comes with probably 10 feet of fishing line, one of the world's worst quality fishing hooks. This thing's just all kinds of warped. It doesn't even feel particularly sharp. A sewing kit, which is a little bit strange, but I guess it's okay. A couple buttons, a safety pin, 4 different colors, and then some matches, a little striking surface, and I even got a bonus in mine. See, they do tumble, the handle, and how I know that is when I opened it up, I got a couple of free abrasive rocks with the knife. Shows you how cheap it is. They literally just pull those things right out of the tumbler and then paint them and assemble them, and they don't even really make sure that they get all the rock or all the polishing stones out. So anyway, I just wanted to do a quick 5-minute review of this knife. Generally speaking, you kind of get what you pay for, and for a $10 big old Bowie knife, this is probably a lot more knife than you can get for $10 anywhere else, but don't expect to be doing heavy-duty work with it, or the blade will fall out. I'm sure it's not going to hold the edge the best. Kind of water resistant, but not really. Oh, and we shouldn't forget that it includes a sheath, which is actually feels a little better quality than the knife. It's not a bad one, you know, it has a big belt loop here. One thing I'll notice about and I don't know if the other ones are the first generation, but there are some packages where the knife is packaged outside and on top of the sheath, and there's a little plastic protector on the tip. This one was packaged inside the sheath. So at least I can give people that information, that the revised edition, at least on this one I got, was actually inside the sheath in the packaging. It wasn't the blade on top. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. I really do. And if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the Catus Maximus channel. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.